So let's just we have our last topic of the day. We're just gonna do like 5 minutes on the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark Stein has some news out on Sunday in his newsletter on Substack that they want to keep Cam Johnson. Bridges obviously is untouchable, but you expect some offers on DFS and Royce O'Neal.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense to me. I think like the nucleus of their team going forward to me is Claxton, Cam Johnson, and Bridges, and you're trying to find guards that are not Spencer Dinwiddie and there are other guys at that position. You're probably trying to keep developing some wings. We'll see what Cam Thomas ultimately turns into, aside from just like a pure bucket. Why are you shaking your head at me?
No coach has ever trusted him. I don't think he's going to play defense enough at the NBA level to stay on.
Is he? It's like him and like Bones Highland are like the captains of just like the all offense, no defense vibes.
It's just funny because I felt like Jacques Vaughn would be kind of give him a shot, and he did. Obviously, he was going off when the team didn't have anybody, when Durant and Kyrie trades had already happened and the guys weren't back in.
Mm-hmm.
But then he went right back to being a DNP. And I kind of take what the coaches are telling us with their rotation decisions with some of that. But anyway, I agree with you. I think I'm not saying cut him, but it just doesn't feel like he's going to get a shot, because if he didn't continue to get a shot on this year's team, which was like below 500 down the stretch, I don't know when he will. But yeah, I agree with you. Guard is number one, and then I think another big is number two.
Mm-hmm.
My question though is this the season? Is this the off season where you already start thinking about a star trade? Do they try to reset already again with being in the mix for a superstar if one becomes available? Or do they lie low? Nick Friedel had a good piece about Sean Marks on the record basically saying we want to build a little bit more organically this time around. Mikal feels like a great centerpiece to do that, and it was all about how sturdy Mikal Bridges is. But Sean Marks doesn't get to pick. Joe Tsai gets to pick. So what do you think? Do you think that they actually play things patiently, or they get tantalized with their pool of assets to go get another star if one is there?
I think Ben Simmons has to factor in this, because he has to be a contractor moving on from if you're going to go get a star. And I don't know how you're like...
I mean, not necessarily. I think you could do Dinwiddie, Harris, Finney-Smith, O'Neal. That's like $50 million I just listed off.
Yeah, but then it's like you're back to where you were, which is like you gutted a lot of your useful depth for a star, and like when did you accomplish it? And then you're like, then are we going to do this whole like, okay, can Ben Simmons contribute to winning basketball thing again?
No, he's not going to. I don't even know if he'll play on the team next year, but I think
exactly that to me is weird. As much as like I think they should stay patient. I think that's the right way. The Simmons thing just hangs over this to me, because like I just don't know what like that guy is.
I mean, you do know what he is. He's not going to play. He's not going to be good. I mean, we just like.
Yeah, but then where do you put him? What do you do with him? Like, there's all these like weird questions with that I just.
I think you ride the season out, see what he can do, see if he can be healthy, and then if you can make it through next season, then you buy him out, because he'll only have 1 year after that. That's a moot point. There's no changing that. That can't affect how you build the rest of your roster. He's a dead roster spot. That's how you have to approach it. You can't be like, well, if he's good, or if his money ends up being valuable, or even on the other side, well, we don't want to spend too much because that puts our salary in a bad spot with Ben. It's like, no, you can't. Maybe next summer, when he does only have that final year, maybe you don't have to buy him out. Maybe you can send out a first-round pick to have another team take him on, and you don't have to have the dead money. But like, you can't. I just think you can't let that sit on top of you. I think I agree with you though that I would hold tight. But I do think if you're able to trade those guys for something, you still would have Mikal, Cam, and Claxton. If you can, it might not be a superstar, but if you could get something for those salaries and some picks, maybe you upgrade a little bit, but it's not Damian Lillard. It's, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to do the whole game right now, but that's where I think they could go.
That's the thing. It's like, is Dame worth it for this team? I don't really totally think so. Would like a Kawhi risk be worth it for this team? I would guess no. I think they probably had enough of superstars that they're not sure what they're going to play for various reasons. Kawhi obviously being different than Kyrie, but it's like, I don't know if you want to walk down that road again if you're the Nets brass.
Mm-hmm.
I think be patient. I think you give Jock Vaughn just like as normal of a year as you possibly can, and then you see what even if you don't trade them in the summer, can't you hold on to O'Neal? Do you hold on to DFS, and like what can you get for them at the deadline? Because those are guys at premium spots who are good players who teams would give up real stuff for. Like I could bet your bottom dollar Cleveland would be like, would you like Jetty Osman and some seconds for one of these guys or a first round pick on draft night? Like with that, like. You're going to get offers like that because those are guys that could reinforce the best teams in the league or teams that want to get among the best teams in the league. And even if you wanted to keep them and just be like plucky 6 seed, I don't even think that's fine. Do what you want to do. You have a lot of assets already.
That's really the decision, I think, more so than like star or not star, because a lot of that's situational. Does that star want to come? You don't really have the crown jewel asset unless you just give up one of those future firsts, which may be valuable, but usually teams want at least one player back, and if they're not going to trade Mikal, Claxton's not quite good enough for that, and neither is Cam Johnson, so you don't really have the huge haul. And this year, you only have Phoenix's pick and your own, so you don't really have anything that great. They're both in the 20s. They actually finished with the same exact record, which is a funny detail, and they did the coin flip, and I think the Nets have the better pick, but they get both. That's not really great either. So it's probably more, are you fine being pretty bad next year, or do you keep treading water? They don't have their own picks, so there's not a lot of incentive to be bad, but if you trade enough of your good players away and get something for them, you keep Mikal and some of those other guys, you're probably only like a 500 team at best. Is that okay, or do they want to be better than that? Is Joe Tsai putting pressure to be better than that? I don't know.
I think also give Mikal Bridges time to breathe. Let him get a full season, not an abbreviated half season where he's brought into an organization. Like give him a training camp and a summer and a full season to be the option that we saw him be. Give him reps at that. And
do you think he can be the best player on a championship team?
I would tend to think no, but could he be the second best guy? I think he could get there. I think he absolutely could get there, and I think it would benefit him to spread his wings a little bit more as we saw him do, but just let him do it more and more and more. I don't think that would be a bad thing for Mikal Bridges to spend next season in a normal environment, no trade speculation, a team kind of building itself, and get a chance to breathe and get a chance to kind of experiment and play around with stuff and learn how to be that lead guy and get the reps at being that kind of scorer and like get on his Chris Middleton path, right? Like that's kind of what I would imagine for Mikal. Or
he's already better than Mikal. He's already better than Chris Middleton.
But I mean that role. I mean like number 2 guy off of like a super duper star. So when the Nets do go make a trade, if they're the team that is like, how about a bajillion picks for Luka Doncic?
Yeah,
like that, and then it's like, oh, I know how to
playing
do this,
with Luka would make me do bad things to myself. So don't.
I didn't mean to give you like some real like Suns like PTSD.
Also,
like,
don't make him play with Luka. That's crime. Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I hear you. I think
who would you pair? Who would be the most perfect superstar for him to play with? Giannis?
Well,
like,
I think it's similar to what we're talking about that this team needs. I think regardless of how good or bad they want to be next year, as long as they're keeping Mikal there, they need a more traditional playmaker to play alongside of him. Spencer Dinwiddie is, I'm going to bounce it between my legs 3 times and take a pull-up 3. He's very good at that, but that's about the extent of what he wants to do offensively. Drive to the basket here and there. He's not going to set other guys up. He's not really going to initiate like formal offense in the normal way a point guard does. So I think you need that regardless of whatever you do. And I think that's the type of player that I would like to see Mikal play next to long term, is some sort of lead creator that he can attack the second side with, he can come off screens for, he can maybe even set screens and be a, kind of mismatch creator with, all that stuff. I think that's kind of the best course of action for him. Maybe not Giannis, but a guard. I mean, everybody can play with Giannis, but picture perfect, it's somebody like, I don't know, like Ja.
Sure.
Looking,
that's maybe why the Grizzlies wanted to give the Batuma picks. I'm looking at the market. It feels like the point guard market. It feels like that might be something you get via trade. It's like, okay, Kyrie's a free agent. Not going to do that again, obviously. D'Lo's free agent. That's not what I would want. Like, do you want to be the team that gives Fred VanVleet a big contract at 30?
Thought about that. I don't think it's the worst, but he's not really a traditional point guard either. He likes to play with other playmakers. So maybe that works, but I don't know if I'd be... They also don't have cap space, so it would be weird to make it work.
This is... Yeah, so then it's like you're getting into like Bev and Schroeder and Gabe Vincent and Javon Carr. Like you're not getting like the point guard you're looking for.
You know who would fit really well as a playmaker on this team?
Who?
Ben Simmons.
Should have seen that one coming, and like I just
Walked
forgot
you
that
right
we
into
could
it.
Just
I think that's a
was
good note
literally
to end
cle-
on, personally.
How about well, they don't have the cap space, but Austin Reeves. Just
Yeah,
get
but
all
I
the
think you
internet's
just need
favorite players.
I think you just need an
James
advantage creating point guard.
James Harden,
Yeah, James Harden.
run it back.
There's just not a lot of guys like that. Is really the weird thing about the league right
yeah.
now.
How
There's
much
just not a
money
lot
can
of players
Joe
like that.
Joe
Conley,
Tsai spend
Conley might
to-
be fine. Conley might be like a decent
for
placeholder
for a year?
yeah,
for a year. Yeah,
sure.
I'd be, and then hold your assets for like that player if it becomes available. Yeah,
Mhm.
I could see that. Or just like I don't even have a good joke. I'm just like looking at the guards. I'm just like, man, this free agency class is not good.
There's just not a lot of point guards in the league that are good. It's really
that,
like a
that are
a
good.
dearth.
That are good in the way that it's a good in the way we are talking about.
Yeah. Good in the way that you have a lot of shooters around, you have a good co-playmaker in Mikal, and you just need somebody to kind of be there for those guys. And
Could they get
make
Tyus?
everybody
Could they
better.
get Tyus Jones as like a clone? Like that would be like a good
Yeah.
just table.
I
Literally
think
just
Monte
set the
Morris
table.
is a free agent. Like that's
He was
another
not good
stopgap.
Not good in DC.
No, he wasn't.
Not
He
good
hasn't
at
been, he's overmatched being a starter. But again, if they're going the route of like take a season to just kind of keep getting better, the young guys, that could be an option. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. They need that type of player. I think maybe they look a little less traditional. Maybe it's like a Kyle Anderson type of like a forward playmaker. Trey Lyles is available, and you just kind of try to bring as many of those guys in and share the ball and keep it egalitarian and keep Mikal on the ball. And maybe he hits a ceiling on that. But if you're just try to acquire picks and assets and that's what next year is about, it's not terrible. I think to maximize everybody on your roster, it'd be best to have a player like that.